Welcome back to the Ultimate Racing Championships. We've just had an absolutely cracking Tier 2 race. So if you're watching this back on delay later on, make sure to check out that Tier 2 race. That was a cracking race. Now though, it's time for Tier 1. And I think this could be an interesting one as well. Unfortunately, once again, we've got a poor turnout, I'm afraid to say, for the Tier 1 race. Tier 2, we had 18, unfortunately only 14 here in Tier 1. But it should still be an interesting night. Of course, last time out, there was a big swing in the championship. URC had won all 5 races up until Monaco, but retired in that race with a crash, unfortunately, coming out the pit lane, which I originally thought was a mistake, but it turned out to be the fault of a wheel. It wasn't working on him, so that was a shame. But it has closed out the championship, so from a neutral's point of view, it wasn't too bad. But anyway, I'll just talk you now through how that's left things. 39 points now, the advantage that URC has over Leopard in the championship. 126 compared to 87 points there. And then in third place we have Sirap. Didn't have a great race in Monaco, down in 7th. Showed some good pace towards the end, but it was too little too late after some early mistakes. He's on 61, so 65 still off the lead of the championship. Long way to go for him, but still been a solid start so far to the season. Top 10 every race and 2 podiums from the 6 so far. Then in 4th we have CRG Pinecone. Unfortunately, wasn't here in Monaco, wasn't here in Spain either actually, and isn't here again today. Infamous, he's had a pretty solid season so far as well. Started off with a podium and then didn't turn up in the second round, but had 4 points paying position. That leaves him on 40 points, rounding out the top 5. And then we have CRGA Morzo, who is now, of course, CRG Morzo. And yeah, interesting one here. He moved up to the A team for Spain and got his first kind of real brilliant result of the season. And had a 4th so far in Bahrain. But other than that, had a few disappointing rounds. Put it in there. Oh, a good lap there from Snazzy Evening to go to the top with a 7.2. But yeah, he really performed when he made the step up to the A team, did Morzo, in Spain, taking 2nd position. Didn't make Monaco, but is back again. Once again in the A team because of Pinecone's absence in Canada. So yeah, we'll see. Let's have a look what tyres people have used for those laps. Oh, Hypersoft tyres, interesting. We saw this again in Tier 2, where people were setting lap times on the softest compound of tyres, of course, the Hypersofts. Usually we see cars kind of going around on the hardest compound of tyres, the Super Softs here, just doing a few laps, then moving on to the middle compound for their main laps, because that's the better tyre to start on. But what we saw interestingly in Tier 2 was a nice even split between people doing the Ultra Softs and people using the Hypersoft tyres. In the end, it worked out for those on the Ultras. Those on the Hypersoft tyres didn't lose out too badly in the race, but they just had to pit a little bit earlier and didn't quite have the races that the guys on the Ultrasoft tyres had, who were towards the front. Yeah, so an interesting call that we've seen the guys, again, committing to the Hypersoft tyres here. The key thing in the Tier 2 race was people didn't make it work in quali. Those on the Hypersoft tyres needed to be starting right at the front so they can make those early stops from a really high position. But unfortunately, they were kind of a little bit lower down. It just didn't work out for them. If they can make it work in qualifying, then let's see how things change. But let's see how that splits out. But early signs are that people are willing to give those Hypersoft tyres a go. Although we have seen a lot of people still doing that idea of doing a few laps on the Super Softs first to get their iron. Team Championship, quickly running you through that one. So, pretty big gaps in the Drivers' Championship, if we're honest about it, but it's a lot closer in the Team Championship. IRL Black at the top with 164 points, but they've been hindered quite a bit. Tyrrell Limless did the first 3 races, but we haven't seen him in the last 3, and we're not seeing him again today. So they've been closed up by War LCR. Of course, that win from Leopard helped them last week, so 11 points now they're behind on 153. And then VSL Red, which is Sirat and Infamous, doing well on 105 points. 59 points back, but when you've got 2-point scoring cards, that can change a lot. Then after that, it's pretty close between the B team of War LCR. They're in 4th, just ahead of TSRL, who of course had a brilliant round last time out. KJ Gamer and CRGA Zelchi both getting onto the podium in Monaco, catapulting themselves up the order into 5th. And they should be able to take 4th in the championship here today, because War LCR don't have anyone from their B team, like in Monaco, here today. So, good chance for TSRL there to move up a spot. And outside of that, I don't think we'll see too many movements in the team championship, because we are missing quite a few drivers. But yeah, interesting there at the top. That fight between ILR and War LCR at the top is a good one. And early signs today are that it's going in ILR's favour, currently 1 and 2. But still a long way to go in this qualifying session, 9 minutes, so over half the session left. And I think we're going to see an improvement in the lap times coming up. Making a snazzy evening now, just going into the hairpin. Just been watching him off board for this lap, seeing if he can improve on that time that currently has him in provisional pole position. This is the critical corner. Oh no, he's decided to bail out and go straight into the pit lane. So let's go over to his teammate, who will now be completing the lap himself. Going down the back straight. No, but he's not. He's not. Tilt. He's backed off. So, oh, or is he on an outlap? Yes, he's on an outlap. Sorry. So he's just starting a lap now. Let's go on board for a lap. I haven't done that yet. So let's go on board now with OMG as Joe, our championship leader. Very short lap, of course, into turn 1. On turn 2, patience with the throttle is key there. You've got to get it on early, but you also can't light up the rear tyres. Then through the chicane, of course, that's where Vettel made his little error and picked up the penalty in the real-life race. Lots of chicanes here. Left, right one here, going on to back straight. A little bit of DRS, not too long straight here, and just breaking into a very, very fast chicane, which is easy to get wrong. Saw a few people crashing here at the weekend, but OMG Stu is safely through. Then braking into the hairpin, hard braking zone. Make sure you don't lock up your tyres. Nicely. Oh, no, you did slightly lock up. Well, that's correct, I don't know. Sometimes the spectator camera locks up when you haven't. And then down this long, long back straight. It goes on for a very, very long time. But you need it, because you need to prepare yourself for a big, big braking zone into the massively fast final chicane, which he decides not to bother going through. So we'll go over to KJ Gamer, and hopefully he will. Of course, we've got the wall of champions to the right that you want to avoid. You want to use as much curve as possible without cutting the corner. That's a nice example of how to do it there. Using lots of track, but not too much. And across the line goes KJ Gamer. That's no improvement there. So that is a lap on board. Thank you for KJ Gamer for doing that last little corner where Joe didn't. It's nice to see. ERL Miro here in 4th position. We haven't seen much from ERL so far in Tier 1. They've, of course, leading the Tier 2 championship. But in Tier 1 they haven't shown too much. But Marvin put in a good performance in his first race last time out, picking a few points, and Miro's now back. We haven't seen him for a while, so building up. Oh yeah, well, and of course I do need to mention this. Of course, this is the penultimate race we're going to see on the F1 2018 game. Kind of been counting it down for the last couple of rounds. Yeah, penultimate race here, going to France in 2 weeks' time. And that will be the last race for URC on F1 2018 before we move over to the brand new 2019 game for the rest of the season. The first race on 2019 is going to be on July the 9th. So, not straight away after the game comes out. There should be a race 2 days, of course, after the Grand Prix. of Austria, but that's only a few days after release, so we've decided to delay that race until July 9th, just to let people make sure they actually get the game and get used to it a little bit. And of course, there's often a few bugs week one, and that they need to iron out as well with the game online. So we're just going to give a little bit of time for that, so a little bit of time for drivers to prepare for that. But these two races are going to be quite crucial. Just setting it up, basically. You want to, if you're reasonably close in the championship going into F1 2019, you can do something. You really can. If you're good at that game, of course. In the same respect, you can lose a lot if you are good on this game, haven't really fully delivered your... maybe struggle slightly compared to others on 2019. So it's crucial. If you're strong on this game, you need to make the most of it in these last few races that we've got on it. Oh, NW Noel has joined the session. That's the second FORL driver there, just joining to join up with his teammate Top Tom. He hasn't actually set a lap time there in 14th position. It's good, an extra driver to add to the grid. 15 now. And pretty much everyone is in the pit lane. Only got one. We got Cyril just going through turn 1 and Danny on an out lap. Let's see what the tyre situation is then. Top 6 have currently got the Hypersoft tyres on, and then after that, quite a few Ultrasoft runners. And this is kind of getting into the territory now of our last runs. Car's just currently sitting in the pit lane, probably going to be waiting there for another few minutes, and then they'll go out on track for a last lap attack. Cyril just going straight on there, so he's obviously coming back into the pits now. And yeah, they're just going to be sitting out there waiting for a little bit more. So we'll watch Danny, the only man then. He's joined by his teammate actually flying Rossi now. Just go out. Let's see what Danny can do on the Ultrasoft tyres here, so don't expect them to be right up at the top, but you can definitely mix it on these tyres. Not a massive difference in performance, as we saw in Tier 2. You've got to be brave round here. You have got to be brave. With the walls so close, it can be tempting to just back off, but you've got to use all the track you can. We saw a lot of corner cutting penalties in Tier 2, and I expect that even at this high standing in Tier 1, I do expect a few penalties. It's so easy to cut, as well as hitting the wall, which you don't want to do. You also want to use as much track as possible without cutting. So use as much track without crashing on the outside, and use as much track on the inside without cutting. So it's quite tricky. Here comes Danny to the end of his lap. Everyone now just on an out lap basically, so calm before the storm here as Danny moves up into 6th position. A solid effort there with a 1:07.969. But not able to trouble our front runners on the Hypersoft tyres, who are just about to get underway with their laps now. Very, very close there in 2nd position, actually. Didn't even realise that. Thousandths of a second between Home GX Joe and CRG Morzo. But at the moment, ILR Black 1 and 2. Doesn't matter how much the gap is. It's where you start that matters. Here's our provisional pole sitter. Over 1/10 of a second, so looking pretty good in that first run. Let's see what he can do now. Can he extend that advantage? Looks very good, doesn't it? You just see that little bit of extra grip he's got on the Hypersoft tyres. He's using it nicely to just carry so much speed through these corners. And using a lot of the track there, just dipping a wheel onto the grass. Just managed to keep it away from the wall. Braking for the hairpin now. He will have time for another lap, but he is going for it on this one. Oh no, he hasn't. He's just backed off. I think he might have cut. I think he might have made a cut somewhere. But he has got time for another lap, as I was saying, so it doesn't really matter. Although those tyres, you won't want to do too many laps on them. Got a yellow out there. MGX Joe is still pushing himself. So he is going to look to improve on this lap. He's going to get a little bit of slipstream. Not very much from that slow-moving Williams. That comes into the final quarter. Gets it through there. Shortest runs the line on the right and doesn't improve. So they are leaving it late then, these guys, to put in their big laps. We'll go back to Snazzy Evening. I think it's probably a 3-horse race for pole position. Miro putting a good lap there to go within 10th of MGX Joe, but he's now backed off. A good effort from him though, nonetheless. So it looks like it's going to be a 3-horse race. LCR Leopard doesn't really have the pace because he's on the ultra soft tyres. So interesting call there from our kind of championship challenger to MGX Joe. Here comes Snazzy. Oh, MGX Joe's retired, so he won't be on pole position. Will he be able to stay on the front row is the main thing. KJ Gamer drops out there from 7th. Has Snazzy Evening managed to improve? Yes, he has. Not by much, but it is an improvement nonetheless. Morzo can't improve, so MGX Joe, by the tightest of margins, holds on to 2nd position. 1,000ths over Morzo. Snazzy Evening in the end, improving by 400ths of a second, just to move a little bit further ahead. LCR Leopard going slowly there, so he won't be any higher than 6th. Will he be knocked down any further by other drivers? That's the key thing. Got Verstappen coming to the end of the lap here. He's on the ultra soft side, so don't expect a big lap time. No, and he's backed out of it as well anyway. So we're just waiting for Rossi now, first of all. He's coming into the pits. And Syrah, this is crucial for him. He's on the hyper soft tyres, so this could be a big lap. No, he's crashed. He's binned it. And he's going to start the race from 10th position. Not sure what tyres he set that lap on. Obviously he's on the Hypersofts there. But did he set his lap on the Hypersoft tyres to put him 10th? If he has, he's going to have to start down in 10th on the wrong tyres, which isn't great. But we have seen a bit of a shift here. From Tier 2, we saw the Ultrasoft runners outperforming the Hypersoft tyre runners in qualifying. That kind of ruined the races for those Hypersoft guys. But the top 4 are all on Hypersofts here. So that's where they need to be to make that strategy work on those tyres. So, I guess we will see. What has Syrah done there? Of course, crucial for Syrah. Momentum kind of gone in the last couple of races in terms of fighting for wins. So he'll be hoping that he can turn the tide here. Ah, it was on the super soft tyres. Interesting there, so he's going to have to do something a little bit different, but that's at least not committing him onto the Hypersofts, so slowing down 10th on the super soft tyres there. Anyway, Snazzy Evening on pole, MGX Joe, IRL 1-2 there for those guys. CRG Morzo, then Miro, good result for him in 4th. Infamous in 5th, Leopard doing a good job there in 6th, those two on the Ultrasofts, then back on the Hypersofts to KJ Gamer, and Danny in 8th, Verstappen and Cyril rounding out the top 10 on the Supersofts, then it's Rossi in 11th, Marvin in 12th, Zelchi in 13th, and then Top Tom didn't set a lap, will start 14th, alongside his teammate NW Null there, who didn't take part in qualifying either. So we've got the bottom 2 of the top 10 on the super soft tyres, but what are those outside of the top 10 going to do? Of course, they get a free choice of tyres, and what we saw in Tier 2, again, kind of referring a lot to Tier 2, but we often see a good correlation between the two tiers. They all went with super softs, all but one of them outside of the top 10 went with the super softs, so they thought that strategy might work. Ultimately, you didn't really get to see whether it did work because everyone who did that strategy had some kind of incident. We'll wait and see. Of course, we've got the formation lap ahead of us before the action gets underway. But Leopard's got a bit of work to do from 6th on the grid early on here. Crucial that he makes up positions. He does have that kind of tyre advantage after the first few laps, so he's got to make sure he's in there or thereabouts, and we'll see. I think this race looks pretty wide open. Morzo showed good pace Snazzy Evening, we know is quick, but has showed a good qualifying display there. Right, tyres then. For those outside the top 10, yeah, they've all gone. Other than Rozzy, who's gone with Ultra Softs, everyone else has gone Super Softs. So, again, those guys will be going long in their first stint, and then switching over probably around 19-20 onto the Ultra Soft tyres and going to the end with those. So, yeah, we've got all three tyres represented here. Hyper Softs towards the front, Ultra Softs in the middle area, and then Super Softs towards the back. But will it be the same after lap 1? And we saw a relatively clean lap 1 in Tier 2. Will it be the same here in Tier 1? We're about to find out. Not too long to wait now. I think this will be a good one. This is the main overtaking zone, of course, coming up here, the back straight. We saw so many people making the moves with DRS after the first few laps in Tier 2. And even at the start, without DRS, if you get a good run off the hairpin, slipstream, and then you use your fuel and your battery, you can line something up. So, of course, this is the main overtaking zone, but we saw overtakes in quite a variety of areas as well. So, a good track, basically, candidate for action. Quite a slow formation lap from a few of the drivers. Cruising around nice and slowly, but weaving nonetheless, and get the tyre temperature up. And there we go, lining up. Green flag waving. Marshals on the gantry, ready to get the race underway. And here we go. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5. And we are racing in URC. Snazzy Evening looks like he's got a good start there, holding the lead into turn 1. Miro already up into 3rd position, looking to try and get 2nd into turn 1, but it hasn't quite worked for him. And the big loser there is Morzo, dropping down 2 places. As his teammate makes a good start and goes up 2 places there. Leopard in front. Oh, we got KJ Gamer on the grass. Just manages to keep the car together and avoids actually crashing into his teammate there. Which would be, sorry, the 2 Hasses, sorry, avoiding colliding with each other. They were side by side. Looks like everyone's through cleanly. We saw a few cars wide, but I don't think anyone's picked up damage. As Infamous, no, Infamous has picked up, sorry, damage there, so there was a collision involving him. He's missing wing on that front left corner. As Verstappen goes side by side with Zelchi. Snazzy Evening still holding the lead there by just around 2nd at the front. And Verstappen holds on to 9th position, but there we go. Good start for Snazzy Evening. He's done all NW and Marvin are both out. Collision there at the Wall of Champions. I can't quite see what happened there, unfortunately. But 2 drivers out there on the first lap, so we're already down to 13. Infamous, of course, going into the pit lane to fix that damage. As I was saying, Snazzy Evening's done what he needed to do. MGX Joe's held position. Miro's had a good start, and so has Leopard. Morzo will be a little bit disappointed, though. A few people gaining positions there. Zelchi, good start for him, actually up 3 places. Yeah, Infamous, our big loser, of course, having to come into the pit lane. Right, can Leopard possibly have a move here on Miro? No. That's where, just if he had DRS, he might have been close enough to think about making a move, but just too far away there. Now, MGX Joe, just the fastest lap, closes up quite significantly to Snazzy Evening on that lap. Now only 0.3 of a second between the pair. We've now got DRS, so those overtaking opportunities just made it a little bit easier. And Leopard's, if you can get past Miro, Leopard could be in a good position here. As I said, on the ultra soft tyres, needed to have a good start, but if, as he has now done that, he's in contention. And this looks like MGX Joe should be able to make the move here this lap. Looks like he's got a clear pace advantage over Snazzy Evening, following him really, really closely through that sector of the track. And into the hairpin. Just making sure he gets a good exit, lining it up now. Maybe a little bit too far away, actually. Just drop back ever so slightly. Yeah, he's not going to be close enough. Of course, not going to try anything daredevil against his teammate, but Leopard here looking to the outside of Miro, but Miro covers that line beautifully. Exactly where he needed to position the car. We've lost Selchi, unfortunately, he's disconnected. As now Leopard looks around the outside of Miro. He's going to hold it, I think. Yeah, he's done it. Brilliant move. Round the outside there of Miro into turn 1. You don't see that too often. And Miro, on the exit of turn 2, runs it wide onto the grass. That allows Morzo to come alongside him. They go side by side through turns 3 and 4. It's ended up working. Oh, and it's just gone all horribly wrong for Miro. Unfortunately, getting bullied there by a pack of cars. He's lost another position to KJ Gamer. Now under pressure from Danny as well. So very unfortunate for Miro. A really good move from Leopard has kind of ruined his early laps. He's dropped another position now on Danny. Down into 7th place. He might look down the inside into the hairpin. But no, he's not able to make it stick. But that's what Leopard needed to do, and he's done it in fine fashion as well. He's now 3rd. Let's see what he can do on these top 2. I think OMG Joe might change his approach now. Oh, that gave me the shock of my life. Snazzy Evening didn't crash, it was just lag. Blimey. That really made me kind of jump there. KJ Gamer is passed on Morzo, making a move there into turn 1, forcing Morzo a little bit out wide. I think Joe's approach is going to change. He's going to be really keen now to get through on Snazzy Evening, knowing that his rival LCR Leopard is the car directly behind him now. Top Tom with a penalty. It's the first penalty we've seen so far, but I don't think it'll be the last. Good opportunity now for Joe. Just under 4/10 of a second. So if you can get his braking right into the hairpin and his exit right, more importantly, I suppose, he could have a great opportunity here. That's a good exit. I think this could be a change in the lead now. It's only really been a matter of time. Joe has looked the quicker car, and he's through on his teammate into the lead at the end of lap 5. Will Snazzy Evening have a response, I guess, is the question now. Of course, put the car on pole, looked really good in qualifying. Also penalty for him as well. But MGS Joe so far has looked better in this race. Don't know what Snazzy Evening's role is within this team, whether he is kind of number 2, whether he'll help Joe. Of course, Joe being the championship contender, and Snazzy Evening having only made his first appearance in Monaco, not in contention drivers wise. Will he just help the team and play second fiddle to Joe? I don't know. I really don't know. But at the moment, I think there's no real question of this being a 1 and 2. I think this is just Joe is quicker than Snazzy Evening at this stage of the race. So not much that Snazzy Evening could do either way. Leopard 1.5 seconds behind in 3rd. This is going to be really interesting to see how this works out strategy-wise. Leopard, of course, you would expect to go longer in this first stint than our 2 leaders. They're having fresher tyres towards the end, so might not be until later in the race where we see him really challenging these guys. But he's probably got a tyre advantage from around about now onwards. Those ultra soft tyres are going to be giving a bit more performance than the hyper soft tyres. They'll be coming towards the end of their life. They'll be thinking about pitting in the next few laps, these guys. And then it's all about how Leopard can do in the few laps that he stays out after these guys have pitted. Look how close this is. This is really nice to see. We saw it in Tier 2 and we're seeing it again now in Tier 1. Close between the top 3. A little bit of a gap down to 4th, but then 4th all the way down to 8th. Really, really close. All those guys fighting very, very hard. Sira on those super soft tyres hasn't made up many positions yet, but he is up from 10th to 8th. And those tyres are going to be coming good now. He's behind Miro. Just unfortunate for Miro, wasn't it, how he lost those positions. And now he's on the tyres that you don't really want, those hypersofts, unfortunately. So his race compromised through no fault of his own, but also no fault of anyone else. Just hard racing, unfortunately, sometimes does mean you lose a few places at a time. No one did anything wrong, not too aggressive. He didn't make any mistakes. So I suppose he did run onto the grass a little bit, but... Right, Leopard. Oh my goodness me, Leopard. Fastest lap of the race now, looking around the outside on Snazzy Evening. He's done it again. Around the outside. That's the second time he's made that move stick. And look at that. I was not expecting that whatsoever. That pace advantage that he's got on those tyres is obviously pretty significant. He's through on Snazzy Evening from over a second back the last time he looked. So very, very good effort from him. He's up into second position. And things looking very, very good here for the War LCR driver. This is looking good for Leopard. Of course, he won in Monaco, that gap down to 39 points. But if Joe wins here, takes 7 points out of Leopard, back up to 46, it's breathing space again for Joe. Leopard gets it down to 32 points the other way around in that top 2. That's starting to look really alive, that championship there for us. So Leopard will be looking to keep that momentum going from Monaco and pick up victory here. At the moment, he's looking good for it. Joe continues on for another lap. As Danny passes KJ Gamer. Snazzy Evening now comes into the pit. So does KJ Gamer. And so does Miro. Yeah, those guys all were on the ultra soft tyres, so that's not a surprise to see. Those guys changing those tyres now. Sira up into position. He's looking good. He's played the waiting game, which you have to do on the super soft tyres. They're not going to give you the grip you kind of want, really, compared to the others the first few laps. But after that, they're going to come good. He's waited nicely. He's up into 5th, and now he's lining up Morzo. Another man on ultra soft tyres who'll be coming into the pits very, very soon. Hasn't quite worked out this race start, unfortunately, for Morzo, but he's still sort of in contention. But Danny, I suppose, has been our big surprise here. Moving up 8 positions, he's on the ultra soft tyre, so I suppose that's the perfect starting tyre, really. Not a massive grip disadvantage to the hyper soft tyres, but also offering a little bit more longevity. Right, will Sirah be through here on Morzo? He goes down the inside. I think Morzo, yeah, will just go straight into the pit lane anyway. Oh, as LCR Leopard and OGS Joe are side by side. Joe going down the inside there, but running it wide, a little bit off the track, and now they're side by side. Leopard getting the run out of turn 2, and Leopard is into the lead. Wowzer! This is absolutely what he would have been hoping for in this first stint, but would have scarcely believed he would be able to do this. LCR Leopard on lap 10. From 6th on the grid, already into the lead ahead of OMG's Joe. What a great race Leopard is having so far. An interesting bit of battling there going on. Joe just running it ever so slightly wide, braking late at turn 1, running onto the grass. And Leopard therefore able to have a better run through and exit from turn 2, taking the lead. Wow. There we go. OMG's Joe, I suppose, won't be too disappointed, in the respect that he'll now come into the pit lane. Those Hobsoft tyres, I think he's probably taken a lap too long, really, and that's why Leopard was able to catch him up. If he can pit now, come out in clear air, have some good few laps, he'll be able to undercut Leopard and get back in front of him. But then Leopard will have a tyre advantage later on, so it's still not ideal for him, but race not over yet. This is the most important laps now probably coming up. How is this race going to shape up after Leopard makes his pit stop in a few laps' time? Or, and another question is, what does Leopard do? Leopard could respond straight away. There's nothing stopping him. If he thinks that track position is more important than tyre wear, then he could pit straight away. Try and hold this lead in the pit stop phase and battle it out with Joe on a level playing field, but I really don't know what he's going to do. Will he respond or will he not? Sira now closing up on Danny. I think Sira could be on for a really good result here. He's only 7 seconds off Leopard. And this is a really interesting point as well. Look at the undercut that Snaz Evening had on OMG Joe. Of course, Joe passed Snaz Evening before he pitted. Sira is through down the inside of the hairpin. Will he be able to hold it on the straight? I don't know. He could be under pressure of being repassed. But Snaz Evening got passed by Joe. Undercut him with those fresh tyres. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's good signs, I suppose, for those ILR drivers that undercutting will give them advantage over Leopard. Sira is able to hold on down the straight, of course, with DRS. He's now got second position. Top Tom starting from the very back on those super soft tyres up into fourth. Good race from him. Same from, well, Verstappen as well on the super soft tyres, but he was ninth on the grid, so he's obviously dropped behind Tom there somewhere. Well, this is really, really interesting. I don't know how this is going to work out with Leopard compared to these ILR guys, but Snaz Evening by pitting early has gained a lot of time, so I guess we will see. This is where they lose out though, coming up to the back of these super soft runners. Just for yourself, Verstappen and Tom, and then there's a bit of a gap to Danny, who should be coming in actually pretty soon anyway on those ultra soft tyres. Maybe 1 or 2 more laps I'm expecting from these guys on the ultras. See if Leopard comes in this lap. There's a chance that he'll do it. No, he does stay out. Oh, Verstappen has had an incident. Verstappen has made a mistake somewhere. He's dropped down a few positions. That's benefited Snaz Evening because he won't lose time behind Verstappen now. And that drops Verstappen down quite badly, actually. Not a great first stint, unfortunately, for him on the super soft tyres, and still a long way to go before he pits. So not ideal for him. That does kind of mean that we haven't really got anyone close with each other. So there's Miro now. Oh, is he on the ultra softs? Oh, he must be committing to a 2-stop shot. Oh, Verstappen's picked up a penalty. This isn't going well, unfortunately, for him. I think Miro will look to go through, but Miro's gone on to the ultra soft tyres and starting the hyper soft tyres. So he looks like he's committing to a 2-stop strategy, which is an interesting one. Everyone's pitted other than our top 4 on Verstappen, and there goes Miro through. But yeah, he's going to have to pit again. He's not going to be able to make those ultra soft tyres last 26 laps, I wouldn't think. Right, let's see what Leopard does. He's just coming up to Zelcha here. Of course, he's disconnected, so it's just an AI driving around. Unfortunately, not rejoining as Zelcha, so that's him out of the race by the looks of it. Danny comes in now, so he's in. That gets him out the way. So this is working out nicely. I think OMG Joe and Snaz Evening are going to be very, very happy about this. Since they've made their pit stops, they've been able to have clear running, make the most of their fresh tyres. That should mean that they are quite comfortably actually ahead of LCR Leopard once he makes his stop, despite Leopard passing both of them on track before they made their pit stops. I think Leopard will be in this lap now. 21 laps on those super soft tyres. A clear advantage in tyre wear over the other two without losing too much time now. I think he'll come in this lap or the next. Maybe soon, either way. Morzone now lining up Verstappen as well, so unfortunately Verstappen really not having an easy time of it at the moment. Still a chance of points though because of all the kind of lack of participants we've got. And here comes Leopard now into the pit lane. Snaz Evening makes it through on top Tom. That's worked out well for him as well. Didn't lose any time there, just used the DRS on the straights. If anything, actually gained a bit of time. And Leopard, what's going on here? Just a bit of lag. It's going to be way behind Snaz Evening. And a long way behind OMG Joe as well. And KJ Gamer for that fact as well. So yeah, that undercut really, really working. Very interesting to see that. How many laps of undercut was it? 6 laps. KJ Gamer's doing the same thing, obviously, as Miro and going Hypersofts, then onto Ultrasoft tyres. So that's how he's managed to jump. But yeah, only a 4-lap undercut there from OMGX Joe. But it's gained him around about 4 seconds. A second a lap there he's gained on those tyres. So it's going to make things tough for Leopard, actually. Interestingly, those tyres that he's used have kind of given him a benefit over the first stint, but they've left him in a tricky position now. Snazzy Evening, of course, pitted very, very early, so his tyres are going to be struggling. But he's in a really good position now. Syrah still going around on those super soft tyres. He's got around about another 5 laps until he'll be pitting. So Snazzy Evening will probably come up behind him as well. I think Miro's already in, so already. I think he's got damage, actually. I think he's got a bit of damage. Is there a front wing ready for him there? Yeah, there's a front wing, so a bit of damage meaning he's come to make a second stop earlier than you would have planned. Don't know how long KJ Gamer will go. He'll go Hypersoft, Ultrasoft you'd think, so probably still out there for a good few laps before he makes his pit stop. This is an interesting phase of the race. I think the pace at this stage is the crucial bit. We saw OMGX Joe quicker at the start than Snazzy Evening. Snazzy Evening responding nicely here. All working out very, very nicely for him and back into the net lead. And goes OMGX Joe through on top Tom. Another one of our super soft runners, along with Syrah. And Verstappen as well. No major pace from Leopard so far. Hasn't made massive gains on OMGX Joe, considering OMGX Joe had to pass top Tom, did lose a little bit of time behind him. He showed such good pace in that first stint on those tyres. Was it a tyre advantage? Was it a pace advantage? I guess we'll see in the second stint now when they're on the same compound. And then towards the end, Leopard will have the tyre wear advantage, which will come good. But he needs to be within striking distance, which is where this phase of the race is crucial for him. Because the undercut has not worked out nicely for him. Or sorry, the overcut that he was going for. It's not worked out nicely at all, so makes this stage really crucial for him. KJ Gamer through on top Tom. Making those Ultrasoft tyres work nicely. But wouldn't think that a two-stop strategy would be the quickest, but at the moment it's working out pretty nicely for KJ. So watch out. I think he could be on for a reasonable result here. Oh, Verstappen and Danny going side by side here. Verstappen has the inside. Ooh, they do touch, and Verstappen is into the wall. You would have thought he would have picked up damage there because he did give the wall a little bit of a thump. As the pair did make contact. Yeah, I think there is a bit of damage there from Verstappen. And he was due to make his pit stop in a few laps anyway, but his day just goes from bad to worse, unfortunately. Leopard has passed top Tom while that was happening, and now he's up behind KJ Gamer. KJ Gamer's done quite a few laps on those tyres now, so Leopard will want to get through on him, and he does indeed do that with the help of DRS. 2.7 seconds to OMGX Joe, so that's looking pretty good. He is making gains. That gap was around about 4 seconds when he came out the pits, and now it's 2.6, so that's looking pretty nice. Now Snazzy Evening's going to lose a little bit of time behind Syrah, and this is something that's good for Leopard, because he's a little bit further back. He's not going to lose time now behind Syrah. Syrah will pit before Leopard catches up, whereas Snazzy Evening's losing a little bit of time here behind our race leader on the super soft tyres. He's of course started the race on. He'll be in soon, but not soon enough for Snazzy Evening, and this is allowing Joe as well to make some gains for now. Okay, you'd think he'll be able to make the move here, but he has spent pretty much a whole lap behind him, so a little bit of time lost there. Syrah's pace is impressive though, so only having now just been caught up. He dives into the pits actually, so very good effort from him. Did actually go into the pits still in the lead technically. I think he was just in front, so yeah, very good effort from him. Good first stint. That puts Syrah in a good position to get a good result out of this race. I think he'll be pretty close with his teammate Infamous coming out the pit lane, and will only go forward from there, having made his stop and now being on a nice set of tyres. I think he's going to be just ahead of Infamous with the shape of the pit lane here. Yeah, go back in front, just in front. So yeah, that's worked out well. 7th for him. We've still got Top Tom, of course, to pit on the same strategy, and he should be able to catch Morzo. And we know KJ Gamer as well will actually have to pit again. So yeah, looking good for Syrah. Should be able to get a top 4 finish here. Alright, this is interesting. They are coming together. I think as an audience we've got to be a little bit patient. But they are closing up, aren't they? MGX Joe's getting closer to Snazzy Evening. Leopard's getting closer to MGX Joe. The telemetry up quickly. People are asking for that in the comments. See how people are doing ERS wise. They're all pretty similar, all around 30% battery. So no major differences between the pair there. And you just see the adjustments as well that they're making. Obviously not using any ERS through here because it's kind of all about mid-corner speed, but then coming onto the straights, just turning up. Just got a little bit more out of it. Just see quite a bit of adjustment there that MGX Joe is making. This is the difference, I'd say, probably between maybe our Tier 2 and our Tier 1 drivers. Probably this kind of thing about the ERS, the being able to constantly change ERS throughout the lap without losing concentration. Because I know certainly if I was playing this game and I was trying to change the ERS every single corner like they are, it would distract me and I'd lose time probably doing it. KJ Gamer now into the pit lane for his second stop, putting on another set of the ultra soft tyres and continuing on. That moves Syrah now into the top 5. Of course, Top Tom also pitted. Where's he going to be? KJ Gamer is in front of him, so those two going to the end on ultra soft tyres. So is Syrah. So those guys are going to be probably the ones competing for the fastest lap within the top 10, which is where the point comes from. If you're outside the top 10, of course, you don't get the point for fastest lap. They're still closing in with each other. Syrah right behind Morzo here. So I was saying about Syrah being kind of top 4, I think it would take him a little bit longer than this to get into the top 4. Having thought about this, that gap, 10 seconds, I think we might be able to add a 4th person in contention here for the win. Fresher, ultra soft tyres. Be interesting to see what he can do. If he can get past Morzo cleanly right now, which I think he will into turn 1. Inside line, and yes, he's through relatively comfortably. So yeah, 10 seconds to make up, 13 laps remaining. That's doable. So we add another 4th person into this closing pack. At the moment, it looks like Leopard is our main mover. MGX Joe making a little bit of progress on Snazzy Evening, but Leopard making more progress on Joe. Verstappen puts in the fastest lap, currently not inside the top 10 though, so he's going to have to do a bit more. As we're just waiting for now, let's check the penalty situation. Haven't seen anything pop up, I don't think, for the leaders. But Snazzy Evening is one warning away from a penalty, as is OMG It's Joe. And Leopard just has the one warning, so Leopard a very slight advantage there. Syrah, similar boat, one warning away from a penalty, and Morzo with a couple already, so... But out of that top four, no one actually yet to pick up a penalty, which is a good effort. We saw in the Tier 2 race, practically all the top four had penalties, so... Different situation here. Syrah putting in a good lap. Now under 10 seconds, 9.5. So, yeah, I will keep an eye out for him. I think we could see him into contention here. As even there, 1.2 now over OMG It's Joe. Then a 1.2 back to Leopard. Can all change though once that gap gets within a second. Suddenly, the breathing space, the slight breathing space that these drivers have over each other goes. When you get DRS, just gain a few tenths on the straight really easy, and then you're under a bit of pressure. Just keeping it over at the moment, but there we go. OMG It's Joe, good run through the final corner. Now within a second of Snazzy Evening, of course not this part of the track where you get DRS, but if you can just hold that kind of gap. KJ Gamer through on Danny, no surprise there, we kind of expected that. On the fresh tyres, him and Tom will be coming through. Yeah, if Joe can hold it through this lap, he'll then have the advantage of DRS towards the end of the lap. Snazzy Evening, how many laps has he done on these tyres now? It's going to be a few. 16, 14 for OMG It's Joe, 10 for Leopard, so you can see that difference there. Maybe 15 laps is the turning point, because Joe hasn't been gaining too much on Snazzy Evening, but maybe these last few laps, Snazzy Evening just losing out a little bit with those tyres going past their best. Still another 10 laps to go, they will do it, but how quickly is the question. Syrah 8.2 back on Leopard. And of course Leopard himself making gains on the leader, so Syrah gaining even more there. As pursuit towards... I think with Syrah, to me, it'll come down to whether these guys fight. I think if they start battling with each other, Syrah might be able to catch up. If they don't, he probably won't be able to catch up. That's my kind of idea of how this race will pan out. Might not be the case. But OMG It's Joe wasn't close enough there, but he is sticking very close. Currently just keeping the gap in the Leopard to stay out of DRS. Gets a little bit of DRS here. It's just giving a tiny bit more performance, but it's of course that back straight and the pit straight where the DRS really comes into use. Snazzy Evening responding though. 7 tenths, so as long as he gets the hairpin right, he should be able to hold the lead for another lap. But there we go, Leopard within a second. Was he within a second at the detection is the key thing. Yes, he was. He gets that. So yeah, the top three all within DRS of each other now. Syrah 7.4 behind. That's probably what the gap. That's probably what Syrah didn't want though, actually. These guys being within DRS of each other, because that just gives those guys a little bit more straight line speed in comparison to Syrah. Of course, all by himself doesn't have any DRS, so maybe that just disadvantaged him slightly in his pursuit of Leopard third. Yeah, this is boiling up nicely. Interesting difference in races. Tier 2 was action all the way through, basically. The car's really close. And here, we're just waiting for them to get together for one big crescendo at the end, I guess. And Leopard's had a very good run through there. Joe's made a mistake. This is Leopard's opportunity. He looks into the hairpin, but too far back. But by the end of this straight, he might be close enough. OMG Joe will still have DRS though, which might be an important defense mechanism for him. Yeah, just able to hold on because of that. Having the DRS, meaning Leopard can't really gain too much on the straight. Syrah now 6.6 back. And he's making the gains that he needs to at the moment. This is so interesting. Really, really tense. It's now's the evening's second race in URC. Can he make it a win? Unlikely. It's strange. He's the leading car, but he's not the favourite, I'd say. I still think for me, Leopard is the favourite. Of course, he's got 4 lap fresher tyres than Joe, 6 lap fresher tyres than Snazzy Evening, and had that great pace towards the start, which has made his race, really. So, weirdly, even though he's at the back of this pack, I'd probably say Leopard is ever so slightly the favourite. If it was Monaco, obviously it wouldn't be, but easy to overtake here in Canada, so worth having a fresher tyres. What a difference one race can make, one track to the other. Still too far away this lap for anything to happen, but MGS Joe is getting very, very close to Snazzy Evening now. No room for mistakes in this top 3. They've got to be perfect to the end of the race if they want to win. And I know that Joe can do that. He's won 5 races. I know that Leopard can do that. He's won a lot of stuff, and Snazzy Evening can definitely do it as well. Syrah, 5.8. Oh, MGS Joe's lost a lot of time through that part of this track. Dropping back. Now a second behind Snazzy Evening. And Leopard right up his gearbox. He's managed to hold on, but Leopard could have an opportunity here into the hairpin. And very, very interesting to see. This is interesting, actually. When we first looked at the ERS, and I've kept it on, actually, and it's actually proved quite interesting, because now Leopard has got the battery that he needs in comparison to Joe. Joe doesn't quite have as much charge as Leopard. He's just able to hold on, though, but yeah, over the last few laps, Leopard has managed to catch up, but at the same time charge his battery, and he's had a brilliant run through the final corner, and he's actually managed to get through Joe on the pit straight. Into turn 1 they go. Joe holds it round the outside, though. Brilliant stuff from Joe. Brilliant stuff from Leopard as well through that final corner. But Joe was not giving up without a fight and held it round the outside at turn 1. Yeah, going back to my point, Leopard able to charge the battery, but still make gains on Joe, who's also been charging the battery, but not by as much. Whereas Snazzy Evening has kind of held it around 30%, so he's been using a little bit more charge. Hasn't been depleting it, but still using a little bit more. Wow, this is so interesting. That was the first time that we saw the cars side by side in this stint. Flying Rossi has retired, so we've only got 11 cars left in this race now. So everyone will get points at the moment, apart from Verstappen. First time we saw them go side by side in this stint, and I don't think it'll be the last. Going back to our Syrah watch, 4 seconds now. He's going to be there. He's going to be right there at the end. We still haven't seen any penalties for any of these top 4 as well. So at the moment, there's Rossi. You can see he's crashed. There's the debris from his car. So it will be down to who finishes first on track at the moment, as long as people don't pick up a late penalty. Oh, but it's just about to kick off. They are now right on each other. Leopard with the freshest tyres at the back. Joe, middle of the road in the middle. Snazzy Evening with the worst tyres at the front. And it's the same battery-wise. Leopard at the back, but with the best battery. So they are just going to come together here in what should be a really, really dramatic end to this race. Really, really close this time round. I think we could see moves here on the straight. Snazzy Evening needs crucially to get a good exit out of this corner, and he does. He's got a very good exit out of there. And if anything, it's going to be Leopard challenging Joe once again here for second position. He's not quite close enough, though. And they hold position for another lap. And this is getting really, really to the end now. Snazzy Evening is going to start to be able to taste the champagne, I think. Oh, Leopard getting very, very Joe in the braking zone there. Don't know whether that was a bit of lag, but they're right by each other now. And this is crazy. Snazzy Evening lost out to Leopard early on. lost out to OGX Joe, the lead, and then to Leopard. Dropped down to third in the early stages, but gained it back at the pit stop. Had that track position. He's doing such a great job to hold the lead. I thought, to be honest, he would have been passed by now with the tyres that he's got on that kart. Very old now. Let's just quickly look what it is. 23 laps now he's on those tyres. 21 for Joe, 17 for Leopard. Sirah 3 seconds back now. As I said, he's going to need them to fight. I predicted they need to fight in front for him to catch up. Snazzy Evening is going to be in front for another lap. But who's going to be in second? Leopard very close to Joe. But Joe again, because Joe's got the DRS on Snazzy Evening, Leopard isn't able to get through. And weirdly, this is working out really well for Snazzy Evening. Snazzy Evening's got the pace to be able to stay ahead of Joe because there isn't that much of a difference in tyres. And the DRS that Joe is taking off Snazzy Evening is helping him stay ahead of Leopard, who could probably put up more of a fight against Snazzy Evening for the lead. So it's working out really well, this, for Snazzy Evening. 3 laps to go, and he's still holding on. He could do this. And now desperation kind of comes into play for Leopard, because he'll be thinking, oh, I could end up third here. So he'll be desperate to get through. And now it's really, really close. This is the closest that we've seen it in the last few laps. OGX Joe right behind Snazzy Evening, and Leopard right behind as well. Penalty for Morzo. Another one for him. Sirah 2.5 seconds back with 2 and a bit laps to go. But OGX Joe really close. This could be his opportunity to get through. He looks to the outside going into the final corner, and he makes it stick, but there's a collision behind Snazzy Evening is round. And Sirah's going to go up into the final podium position here. Snazzy Evening coming together with Leopard. Leopard now looking around the outside of OGX Joe. Not able to make it stick, but there we saw Joe going around the outside of Snazzy Evening. And Leopard just tried to follow him through. Leopard tried to follow Joe past on Snazzy Evening. It hasn't worked. Snazzy Evening is back through on Sirah. Snazzy Evening is left. What is going on here? I don't know how that's worked. I thought Sirah was through on Snazzy Evening, but I think what's happened here is that Sirah has passed. He's passed Snazzy Evening, but it was under yellow flag, so he's had to let him back through. And then since after that, Snazzy Evening has left the lobby. Leopard goes down the inside of OGX Joe at the hairpin, but he can't make it stick. They're going to be side by side now, going down on the straight. Leopard's going to have the DRS. Will he be able to make it stick into the final corner? That's where Joe made the pass on Snazzy Evening this time, last lap. But he isn't able to do it, I don't think. Joe holds it going into the final corner. But unfortunately, that kind of yellow flag has cost any chances of Sirah catching up. He's going to be too far away. It's going to be a 2-horse race going into the final lap. Leopard goes around the outside into turn 1. He made it work earlier in the race, and I think he's made it work again. He's done it. That's been his favourite move. And it may be the move that takes him to the race victory here on the final lap. He's through on OGX Joe. But OGX Joe will not give up. He's still got a chance if he sticks close to him. He has the opportunity going into the final quarter after that DRS straight. And at the moment he is sticking with Leopard. Let's have a look at the batteries. Yeah, they've both got enough battery to get to the end. Using up the charge here on the final lap. Joe sticking with Leopard. This is going to come down to the final corner. We've seen drama already on the final lap between these two earlier in the season. Could we see it again? Joe needs a good exit out of here, and it's not quite the exit that he needs. Leopard boots it down the straight, and I think he's going to have a big enough gap. OGX Joe has the DRS, but I don't think he's going to quite be close enough going into the final corner. He might have a look, but no, he can't quite do it. And Leopard is going to hold on by the tightest of margins to win this race. It's going to be so close across the line. But he's done it. Leopard has won. OGX Joe in second. Fantastic race there. Sirah takes third position. KJ Gamer in the end in fourth. And drama behind here between Top Tom and Danny. Top Tom going off the track there, but he's going to take fifth position with Morzo's penalties moving him down into sixth. Top Tom losing out badly actually because of penalties there. Infamous moving up into seventh Snaz Evening was 8th, but didn't actually complete the race. He left the lobby. So I don't think he'll get points from that, which means that a point will go to Veersa Verstappen. Snaz Evening didn't have anything wrong with the car, so I think he rage quit, basically, after that incident. Of course, you can understand the frustration. So he won't be awarded a point. If it's a genuine connection problem towards the end, we do hand out points, but not in that scenario. It didn't appear that anything was wrong. Wow, that was a big, big finish. In the end, Leopard has taken it, but there will be questions about that incident that, of course, caused Snaz Evening to spin and then leave after that. Joe was round the outside. He made that move on Snaz Evening, and then Leopard was just trying to come through as well, and they just tapped. I think there will be a steward's inquiry about it. We will see. But the move that Leopard made stick on Joe was undoubtedly clean and undoubtedly a great one. He'd done that move a number of times in the race, and he also did it when it counted, when he really needed to do it. He was able to do it again. There we go. In the end, it is Leopard from MGX Joe, just a quarter of a second in it. Sirrat put up a great fight there, just coming up short in third in the end. Great race from him, though, from 10th on the grid. KJ Gamer in 4th, good race from him. Made the two-stop strategy work, which was a good effort from him. Then penalties kind of deciding our order from then on. Danny in 5th, Morzo in 6th, Infamous going up into 7th. So that's he classified in 8th, but then it's Top Tom in 9th, Miro in 10th, Veersa Verstappen in 11th, and yeah, he'll move up with Snaz Evening there, not actually completing the race, and he'll also therefore get the point for fastest lap that he set, because he'll be in the top 10. Then Zelchi, of course, disconnected quite early on, and then Rozzy, Marvin, and NW Null all retired from the race. Well, that was a good one. We've had a great night's action so far today. The Tier 2 race was cracking, and that was a cracking race as well. We're going to talk to our top 3 very, very shortly. And, yeah, what a race it has been. Back in the lobby, let's get these guys into the party. Let's have a word with them. Okie dokie then. Right. Just waiting for Joe. Make sure to include your audio, and we'll get on with the interviews very, very soon. Just to quickly point out as well, for those watching, the PS4 race will be getting underway in a few minutes' time, so watch out for that one as well. Just after we finish the podium interviews, we'll be handing over to that, so make sure to stick around. But come on, Joe. We need him here. I suppose while we're waiting for Joe, we can talk to our race winner. And wow, that was not an easy race by any stretch of the imagination. I really thought after you made those moves early on in the race, that you were going to be in a fantastic position, but in the end you really had to work for it in those last few laps to make up the positions to take that win. Just talk us through your race as a whole, but in particular those last few laps and the pressure of having to make those moves right at the end.
Yeah, to be honest, at one point, I think like 5 laps to go, or especially with 3 laps to go, I was thinking I'm probably not going to win this race. I can probably get past Joe at best, but it would probably be rather difficult to take the win. I don't know if Snazzy had a penalty or not. But yeah, I got past them.
None of the top four had one.
I got past them on the ultra soft stint, but I kind of knew they'd be back ahead of me because I was going longer, obviously, because I was on the ultra soft. Going longer, so I knew they would get a hefty undercut because that's how it works around Canada. But I knew I'd gain that back within the remaining 5 laps or so. Well, I'll just be gaining it throughout the stint, but especially in the last 5 laps or so. Caught up. I was low on the RS, so I couldn't really attack immediately, which was annoying. I had to save some up. Once I'd saved some up, I tried getting closer to make a move, but because Joe had the DRS on Snazzy, it was rather difficult. But then Snazzy disconnected, and then Joe didn't have DRS, and I eventually was able to get past him around the outside of turn 1.
And that was your favourite move, wasn't it? Round the outside of turn 1, you did it quite a few times during the race. And obviously your confidence into the braking was really critical there, and exactly what you needed to do at the last lap. And then obviously you had to nail that final lap as well, with Joe obviously close behind, possibly able to repass you, which must have been quite a lot of pressure throughout that last lap.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. Was my greatest final lap ever. I'll admit that, but I think I nailed the hairpin on that lap. Absolutely nailed it. Got the braking spot on, got the exit spot on, and that left Joe not close enough to make an attack into the final chicane, and then it was really just getting a semi-decent exit out of the final chicane and not cutting it because I was on 2 warnings, which I managed.
Yes. Yeah, we did see that the warnings were very, very tight for quite a few of the drivers, but in the end, no one picked up anything. That would have been
thankfully
very, very crucial.
Makes a change of Canada. Usually just penalties galore.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right. I think
got the job done and got the win.
Right, I think Joe is with us now, and of course, just missing out there by the smallest of margins. Again, just kind of having a conversation about this massive pressure that was on between the top 3 in the last few laps. How was it from your view, kind of in the middle of it for most of it, and then working your way to the front and trying to hold on, but not quite being able to do it?
Yeah, the pressure was definitely on. I feel like I was kind of held back by the strategy, not knowing it to qualify on the hyper soft. And yeah, well, it was going all to plan, but just pretty much the last lap, I just lost all grip. And yeah, after doing like 25 laps and not being able to get one warning while you've got Leopard catching you, yeah, it's not a nice feeling, really.
Yeah, it was really on the edge, that in terms of the penalties. But as well, I was kind of looking at the ERS between it, and you were... it was quite a stark difference. Leopard really charged his up. You're all at similar thing. Leopard really charged his up. Snazzy even kind of just kept it where it was, and you were slowly building up. How important do you reckon that was in terms of the battle going into the last few laps? The way you managed the ERS, because I think that was quite a tough thing to get right.
To be honest, I was using quite a bit of my ERS because the tyres were going, so I was trying to like not use as much in the corners, if you kind of get what I mean. Use more down the straights, but because I had the DRS, like, it's just so much easier to save it compared to the car in front. But yeah, I don't think it really affected the battle at the end. There was just simply not enough grip to like keep in front of Leopard. And then yeah, I was planning to have another go into the last corner, but the traction out of the hairpin was atrocious. So yeah, that was
Yeah, I did see that. I kind of thought it was going to be kind of Bahrain 2.0, but yeah, it didn't quite happen.
It's not.
Anyway, thank you very much, you two, for providing a massively entertaining race. But also, our congratulations to Syrah, who finished in third in the end. Tried a different strategy from 10th on the grid, super soft tyres, running it long, a very strong first stint, gaining in the second stint, but it wasn't quite enough. Talk us through your race and I suppose the frustration at getting so near but yet so far away from that leading battle.
Yeah, actually I was planning to make the ultra soft strategy and start with the ultras, but I just invalidated both laps and just catch the hyper soft in the end, just get a good track position, but then I just validated once again, so I just needed to start with the old 5 lap super soft tires, which I was far away from my
I didn't realise they had
personal.
5 laps. Crikey.
Yeah, actually this 3 slow laps and 2 hot laps, and I just invalidated some laps as well, so far from my PB, but started on P10. And I just tried to have some patience and just wait behind everyone, which was battling with the ultras, with these hypers, and just waiting with the supers to have the fresh air to make push a little. Because the car was a little stable at the start because of the dirty air, and it was a little hard to keep it with a good pace. So after everyone pitted and just got fresh air into the lead, I was able to make something. But with the wet tires, it was a little hard to maintain, so I just pitted a little before than expected. But I just had one traffic, which was Morrison. I just passed him in the pit trade. And after that, no one in my way. Only the Snazzy, Joe, and Leopard just battling for the victory. Didn't ask any time for Jeff about the penalties because I just wanted to focus and don't have any penalty for myself. Fortunately, I just didn't have any penalty and just worked for P3. Unlucky for Snazzy, which disconnected in the final 2 laps, but yeah, pretty happy with the result after some couple of bad races. Unfortunately, I had a bad qualifying, but a good race, it's always good.
Anyway, thank you very much to all of you for the interviews and also providing us with a very entertaining race. 2 cracking races so far tonight. Now we're going to switch over to the action in the PS4 race, which hopefully is another great race. But anyway, that is it from Xbox tonight. And on our side, you will see us next time out in France, 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.